Hello and welcome to Editing with My Wife, now with less interest. My name is the Hooded Philosopher and I'm here with Teasy Loops. Teasy Loops, tell us what this chapter is about.
This chapter is about a really short wedding.
Well, you want to tell us about the previous chapter?
In Togetherness, the boy was left with Marcus and Ella in the rebellion, and sat in the caravan while they had to move to the next place. And Warren the cat came in and talked with him and reassured him that he would see Draylin again, because, Draylin. And then a big bird swoops down and loudly caws and picks up the cat and takes him away. And then Marcus shares some cookies with the boy, and while the boy was choking on the crumbs, Marcus accidentally gave him some fire liquor and found out the boy has fire abilities. He's a fire... What did you say? Fire blood?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened in the last chapter.
And I'm becoming disillusioned with this whole thing, in case you're wondering. But we're going to press on anyway.
Disillusioned. Yes. Explain disillusion.
This all feels hollow. All of it. Hollow, empty, devoid of any real meaning.
So what we should explain is that Hooded constantly struggles with some mental health issues, and today is particularly strong.
Yeah. Read the book.
Truska awoke alone in the bed. Looking around for Rokai, she saw him. He was sitting at his desk, staring at a flashing red light. His face was grave. Truska sat up. What does that mean? It means I'm with you, I think. He looked back at her lying in bed. Her form brought him a smile. I need my river, and if she promises herself to me, how could I say no? He stood picking up his dagger. It gleamed in the nearby fire. Today, we will aid Force and Flow against Sloane with the help of love. He looked back at her. We will conquer fear. So I've changed your heart, Truska said, letting the sheet fall off of her as she stood. He nodded. You changed it all those years ago when you denied me your hand. I've been hoping to prove to you the drive you instilled in me that day. Rokai handed her the dagger. She took it. That was quite possibly the most romantic thing anyone has ever said. She tossed the knife onto the bed. Kissing him deeply, they held each other. Truska put her head on his chest. The rebellion is not who they once were. Their king is no more. Their son begs for peace. Hydration time. His eyes were bright, looking deeply into her soul. Forrest and I have been good friends for ages. When we became Sloane's subordinates, we all began to see the changes. Forrest told me if I don't find my own flow, that I would lose you forever. I have modeled my life after you, and I had hoped the whole world would worship us. I don't want worship. All I want is love. She was slipping on her dress as she said this. Sloane will not be happy that you are going against him, if he doesn't already know. He knew the day I proposed to you. We have been bickering back and forth ever since. Flo and I have been waiting for the day that we can return the favor of your love. He said, simply putting on his jacket. I sent my men ahead. I understand that the boy is alone with the rebellion. Perhaps we should go return you to him. As I understand it, he is quite important. He is Sloane's son, she said simply. Thank you. The shock on his face matched his tone. That is not wise if you're harboring a child. The seed of chaos will find you. She looked at him gravely, sitting back on the bed, a picture of love in black. Excuse me. Nathaniel was harboring 12 when the seed showed up. It chewed them all up right in front of him. The gruesome picture was enough to wipe the shock off Rokai's face. She wasn't finished. As he told me, our friends, the others that helped us, they were fused to the walls. No way to escape. Worst of all, he watched his innocent wife. She was in her home, living out the rest of her full life, alone, trapped in the home they had built together. Never needing for anything, only desperately wanting. Sloane cannot win. He looked at Tresca, who was crying. You have made this clear to me. The seed may have Nathaniel, but he has a plan, and I have no doubt it will succeed. Rokai eyed her skeptically. The plan is forged in complete chaos, I presume. Chaos is a friend when you need it, and Nathaniel made a deal to end this madness, she said, hoping he would understand. Someone knocked at the door. Rokai invited them in. Tresca wiped her tears away. A man entered the room holding a small box. Rokai popped up, and ran to him, obtaining the box. He looked back at her. His smile was infectious. I had something made for you. As the man left, he walked over to her, kneeling. He presented a metal necklace. Its fringes floated like lace on a breeze. I needed to see it on you. Oh, that's not what he says. I need to see it on you, he pleaded as she gazed into the depths of the 3 sky blue gems set into the piece. Runes made it all look like alien technology. There's nothing I want more than to test its brilliance against my own beauty. She looked at him, then down at the gift. The runes are generational, at least 2 deep. Some of them are intimate. She paused, making him linger in wonder. She had no intention of saying no, but this was their game. I promised you my hand. I will trust you implicitly. She slipped it over her head. It shrunk slowly around her neck until it was tight. The small lace-like structure slipped under her skin painlessly. All sense of heat slipped into her chest. The gems held a brilliant white light that seemed to glow from deep inside her chest. Rokai walked over to his desk, a sense of cold seeming to give her courage. It was the most beautiful sensation of fortitude she had ever experienced. She felt alive. This will represent our unity. He grabbed a pair of fingerless gloves and put them on. A deep orange gem on either side of his wrist seemed to pinch his arms as they receded into his wrists. They glowed an eerie black glow. He was glowing now, radiating heat, bending the light around him. A wind swept through the room as he moved back to her, snuffing out the power like a candle. All was normal as they sat together on the bed. Scroll. Thank you. A bird landed on the window outside. She could see the rune that Draylen had carved into himself, but said nothing as Rokai explained further. The further apart we are, the colder you will feel, the hotter I get, until our hands reunite, putting our souls to their rightful state. It took many families, many generations to make this, in the hopes that one day I would have you in your rightful place by my side. He paused. They wanted to do it, you know. The families were so grateful for my bells that echo my feasts. He looked into her eyes. I ordered them to be made the day you said no. My whole life has been to give you me. That is why I took the flame. Through me, the destructive nature of flame will be your right arm. He kissed her hand gently. Draylen, why do you presume to eavesdrop on my more intimate moments? She looked to the bird. It cracked back into his original form. She turned to look at Rokai to explain, but he was gone. An iciness filled her heart. Why are you here now? She said, frustrated. Sloane has an army headed for River's Force, where the boy is headed now, Draylen reported. I had no intention on eavesdropping, only a need for expediency, he added. Rokai came back into the room, followed by Draylen. Your nephew is here, too. Her hand slipped over his dagger still laying on the bed. She looked at Rokai with a newfound pride. Husband, do you have a faster way to River's Force? He smiled at devious smile back at her. I have the fastest way, my love.
There you go.
It was such a pretty necklace.
Mm-hmm.
There was something in here that triggered my brain. I have to remember. It was rather sweet. I don't remember now. Oh, never needing for anything, only desperately wanting. Yeah. Your distinction between want, need, and should.
Mm-hmm.
But I like this chapter. It's not as fun as the last chapter. The last chapter was really cute with the boy.
Yeah.
But this one was more of a... Definitely more of a way to turn Rokai to help them. I mean, he was already turned, but...
They didn't know.
He also had to understand the whole gravity of the situation. What Nathaniel had gone through. Mm-hmm. That the Seed of Chaos was out. And that Nathaniel made that deal with him.
Mm-hmm. Which becomes very clear in the next chapter.
Yeah, it's just a... I mean, this chapter is really, yes, Rokai needing to understand what was really going on, why they're trying to fight, what's happening, and a need for Rokai to
Would you be the cold or the hot?
I want to be warm all the time.
I don't think that's what it's about.
Destructive. Whereas it seems to be that Rokai's hot lets him be like the front man, the tank, the
DPS.
The DPS. Whereas the cold seems to be the shielding.
It's a gaming term that means damage per second. Really high damage. Lots and lots of fire would do a lot of that.
So, like, the cold was meant to protect her.
Yep.
So that way Rokai can go off and do the destructive things to continue that protection in the long term versus short term.
Yeah. Big, expensive piece of jewelry.
Yeah,
two pieces, really.
It took generations just for the one necklace for the runes to be inscribed, which is kind of a very interesting feel to this type of magic, where many families, many generations.
Mm-hmm. That's how learning works, though, isn't it? One generation figures something out, and the next figures something beyond it. Out.
And you also think of how much magic has been poured into these runes. Mm-hmm. It has more magic in it than one person is allowed to use, is what it sounds like.
Well, it's all rune magic. Which can do pretty much anything. But so can mushrooms. Alright, that's a sufficient question for today.
Would you rather be the hot, destructive nature or the cold...
Or do you already consider yourself?
Shielded nature. I would just want to be warm all the time. I would not be comforted by the cold feeling.
What's the thing? I can't even think about what's happening first.
So Rokai is on their side now. Tresca explains Nathaniel's tragedy. Wedding. And Draylin and Nathaniel. Why is it doing that?
If you go to the very end and hit right, it goes to the top.
I see. And Draylin and Nathaniel come with news. So the wedding, is it them just acknowledging each other as husband and wife?
Yeah.
The exchange of jewelry was extra. It doesn't always involve an exchange of jewelry.
I think it was just their thing.
Okay.
It's their ancient people who've gone through plenty of weddings. I don't think they have a time for urgency.
A very different kind of wedding. Rokai is a friend. Treska explains some things.
Thanks for watching.
Have a good day.
I love you.
This is important to us.
Bye.
Bye.